and the omnibus. So I was forced into the Archers when I was a child. And look, it's come back to bite me later on. I'm awash with this stuff.
The Archers is the world's longest-running radio show, with more than 15,000 episodes broadcast. Despite being a rural flavour show, The Archers is recorded in the heart of...
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking this really intriguing bit of audio from The Archers, the BBC Radio 4 drama. And our mission really is to get under the skin of it. We want to unpack the human interactions, the hidden agendas, all that emotional stuff that's driving these characters. We're looking for those insights, about relationships, communication, how people make decisions when things get, heated.
Exactly. And this piece gives us such a fascinating look at how individual choices, these unresolved conflicts people carry around, how they just ripple out. They affect everything, don't they? Business chats, family relationships, even like a birthday party. It shows how interconnected everything is.
Okay, let's dive in then. We start with what seems like a business chat, right? Between Justin and Martin. They're talking about a presentation, saying it will work for us. But even then, they know they need more detail, more research on the food storage, figures, graphics, that kind of thing. But the bit that jumps out is how they frame it. Keep it between you and me. Just a friendly cup of tea, no business involved. What's that about? That immediate need for secrecy.
It's very telling, isn't it? Because straight after saying no business, Martin just launches into this really rigid philosophy about work. He literally says, you don't mix with your staff socially except under conditions you yourself can control. Keep your distance, maintain some mystery. Why? Because you never know when you're going to have to crack the whip. It's quite revealing, that mindset. It suggests, perhaps, a view of leadership based more on control and maybe a bit of fear rather than trust or collaboration.
Yeah, crack the whip. That's quite a phrase. It sounds almost old-fashioned.
Yeah.
A bit paranoid, maybe. So how does someone with that view, that need for control, handle something like a social invitation?
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what happens next, right? Jazzer invites him to his wife's birthday party.
And that's where it gets really interesting, the clash between his stated philosophy and his actions.
Right. Because what happens next just seems to completely contradict everything he just said. He first tells Jazzer couldn't make it, gives an excuse about his brother visiting. Standard enough, right? But then later, he's talking to Justin and says, oh, he managed to rearrange him, his brother. And now he's thinking of going to the party after all. He even starts planning his outfit, asking about a new leather jacket, a silk scarf, loosely knotted, ultra-slim jeans, all designed to, quote, optimize the event. Optimize. It's not just about showing up, is it? It's performance.
Absolutely. Performance is the right word. It really throws that whole perceived social obligation versus personal desire thing into sharp relief. Or maybe it's perceived opportunity. While Martin's strategizing about his look, you've got Jazzer, who's just genuinely excited. He's got this genius idea for the party, a mobile sauna. He remembers using one before and thinks it'll make the party a bit special. You see the contrast. Jazzer's thinking about shared experience, fun. Martin seems to be thinking about, impact. His impact.
Yeah. Totally different wavelengths. But Jazzer's enthusiasm, his genius idea, it just hits a brick wall, doesn't it? Because the conflict over Martin potentially coming, it just explodes. Tracy, Jazzer's partner, she is not happy at all. She tells Jazzer straight up, I'd rather call it off than have Martin Gibson oozing around at my party.
Yeah.
Oozing around. That's strong language. It's not just dislike.
It's visceral, isn't it? And if we look at the bigger picture, this isn't just about one awkward guest. It feels like a real breach of trust within their relationship, a kind of territorial thing almost. Jazzer tries to defend himself, saying he only asked Martin after Martin initially said no, trying to make it sound less like he pressured him, perhaps. But Tracy sees right through that, or at least she doesn't care. She accuses him of twisting Martin's arm anyway. Her reaction isn't just, I don't like him, it's about her boundaries being crossed in her own space, at her own party. And she lays down an ultimatum, right? If Martin comes, she's leaving with kids. Me and Brad and Chelsea, a nice little table somewhere. Which puts Jazzer in a terrible spot. He's got the deposit paid for the sauna.
The sauna deposit. Right. So now it's money versus his partner's absolute fury and her feeling totally undermined. That's a tough choice.
A really tough choice. It forces him to weigh that financial loss against the emotional cost to his relationship.
Okay, so that's one major conflict brewing. But then the scene shifts, and we land in this completely different, but maybe even more tense emotional space between Susan and Neil. Susan's clearly upset, taking a breath, hardly said a word since last night. and Neil. Well, he gets it wrong at first, doesn't he? He thinks it's about something Amber said before, something he thinks is done with. That kind of misread happens a lot, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. And it immediately signals there's something deeper going on, something Neil isn't saying, an unresolved issue. Susan corrects him quite sharply. It's not about that, and it's not done with either. That silence she's been holding on to, it wasn't just quietness. It seems like she was carrying this huge weight, this decision all by herself. It points to a real communication breakdown, doesn't it? Maybe she felt she couldn't tell him, and then she drops the bombshell. She spoke to George, Amber's father, on the phone, a conversation she hadn't mentioned.
Wow, okay. And George didn't just chat, did he? He wanted something. Susan reveals he only agreed to talk because he wanted that ring. And he wasn't subtle about it. He basically said, if I did it, he might see his way to forgive us.
Right.
Forgive us, like it's a transaction. The emotional weight of that.
Yeah.
And Susan admits she did it. She took the ring, her own mother's engagement ring last night, and gave it to Amber to pass on to George, presumably.
Exactly. And what's crucial here is understanding what that ring means to Susan. It's not just an object. She says she had to do it. She had to think it all through. For her, that ring became loaded with symbolism. It was a sacrifice, she calls it, a potential bridge to try and mend things between us and George. It sounds like, despite the awful nature of the demand, she clung to this hope that it could actually work, that George might genuinely help make them happy. It shows this deep, perhaps desperate desire for reconciliation, even if the terms feel, well, coercive, like George is manipulating the situation.
Coercive is a good word. And Neil's reaction, it's immediate, isn't it? He hears what Susan did, and he just explodes. He calls it extortion. He's furious, doesn't even pause, just rushes off to find Amber, demands the ring back right away, tells her flat out it's not his to give. George had no right at all. Neil seems to see George's actions very clearly.
Yes, he sees it instantly for what he believes it is. He doesn't mince words with Amber. He tells her George coerced her into handing it over. It's what he does. He uses words like bullying and wheedling and manipulating till he gets what he wants. That means adamant. That ring is precious to Susan, and it is not yours. For Neil, this isn't just about a ring. It's about protecting Stephen from what he sees as George's toxic pattern of psychological manipulation, using emotional leverage.
But Amber, she doesn't back down, does she? She refuses to just hand the ring over. She even throws back, George will get me something better than this. Ouch. And then she twists the knife, really aligns herself with George against Neil. She says, he was right about you too, George was, implying George has been bad-mouthing Neil to her. What he told me about you, I can see it for myself. And she vows to tell George everything Neil just said about him. So it's not just defiance. It's like she's choosing a side, reinforcing the family division.
Precisely. And the fallout from that confrontation is just devastating, especially for Susan. You hear her heart break when she says to Neil, Neil, what have you done? She explains her hope, that a desperate hope, that the ring was going to be the bridge between us and George, a way back. And now, because of Neil's intervention, however well-intentioned he thought it was, and Amber's reaction, Susan feels that little bridge is broken now, and I don't think it can ever be put together again.
It's a tragic illustration, really. Yeah. A bridge built on a demand, on coercion, not on mutual understanding. It was always going to be fragile, wasn't it? It just couldn't hold. So wrapping this up, what have we seen here? We've got a journey through these different but tightly connected scenarios. A business tea revealing control issues, a party invite causing this huge row about boundaries, and then this incredibly painful family drama over an heirloom. It really shows how tangled these lives are.
Yeah, absolutely. The core themes really stand out, don't they? This constant struggle for control, whether it's in management styles, social situations, or family dynamics. We see how old grievances, past hurts, keep shaping how people act right now, and the massive impact of communication failures. Even when someone like Susan has this intention to mend things, if the communication isn't open, if the foundation isn't respect, it can backfire spectacularly.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Which brings us to our final thought for you to mull over. What really is the cost when we try to control other people's feelings or actions, whether it's through rigid rules or emotional blackmail or even giving away something precious under duress? And can a bridge between people, one built on demands rather than genuine understanding, ever truly be stable? Can it ever really last?
So what are you doing now?
Just getting ready for the next episode. Just moving mics around.
So what do you do?
I do the spot effects on the arches. Any
Are you what we
movements
call Foley then?
kind of. Yep.
Okay. And these are all part of the paraphernalia of production.
Yep. That's the ball bar. That's,
This one.
yep. That's.
Haley so wanted to be in their own place when their baby came. It's due in 2 months. Not much chance of that now. No. I mean, it would have been a stretch for them financially, mind, but I just wish there was something practical I could do to help them, Caroline.
I think The Archers has had this immense popularity over the years, basically because it has always very accurately reflected the reality of life and living in a rural community at whatever